Voidborn Mythology by Axel Hellstrand. Episode 8, The Wasteland.
The room that Moore once sat in was now covered in orange flames, and had little that now remained of Moore was his charred remains still smouldering on the ground.
Out of the flames walked the dreaded Fireborn.
And his form had changed. His body was shining and was covered by all manner of different metals. His newly formed armor looked primitive and looked as if he had poured himself with molten steel, something that was very likely might have been the case, judging from all the empty scabbards and bladeless sword handles.
And any creature that still had common sense would have run away from this armored beast. Near to the have any common sense left, since all of it had been burned away by his burning rage.
The swipe with his claws nearly scratched the monster's armored belly. The crimson beast opened his great jaw and spewed fire to get rid of his attacker. It was not just the monster's body that had changed, but also his fire. The Fireborn would usually breathe streams of fire, but this time a ball of concentrated fire flew out of his jaws.
Even though Neart had turned to madness, his survival instinct still remained, and he jumped out of the way.
Then the Fireborn shot out another fireball,
And by the skin of his teeth would dodge the monster's
fireball, and the flame this time hitting a pillar that was broken in two. This process continued, and the abandoned temple was slowly turning to ruin.
Neart hadn't gotten enough rest for the past week, and fell to the floor, exhausted.
The monster charged towards the Mathen and would finish the mammal. Suddenly, the creature stopped in its movement.
And in that moment it looked as if something was fighting in order to take control of the monster's own body. He looked like a puppet that had gained sentience and tried to fight back against its puppeteer. The Fireborn didn't need to be close to exterminating his most hated of opponents, and from this distance he could easily destroy the Manthan with a ball of fire. He opened his jaws, but they were instantly closed, and the monster began to scream like a caged dog.
The exhausted Neart looked half awake towards the struggling monster, and behind the Fireborn stood its puppet master. "Run, little cub, run!"
River.
The Fireborn was winning against his puppeteer and regained some control of his body. The monster with a struggle walked towards the old hermit
And was ready to squash.
like a bug. The crimson beast could not yet open his jaws, so he had to kill the small oceanborn with his bare hands. River used all his concentration to slow down the monster and keep his jaws shut.
The old amphibian only managed to do one of those things.
Then the monster rapidly approached him.
I cannot hold it much longer.
River had no control over the monster except his jaws.
River stopped controlling the Fireborn's body and instead pulled out his water bag.
He dragged all of the blue liquid from the water bag with his mind. He threw it at the monster. The splash of water didn't scare the Crimson Beast this time, and it only heightened its rage.
River, get out of there! Get out of there! River!
The monster kicked the hermit to the nearest stone wall. River's head struck the wall hard and almost cracked open. The emerald green blood of the amphibian splashed into the monster's remaining eye.
Neart was devastated by the attack that was dealt to his friend and ran across the room to save him. After dashing over the river, he held the broken and bloody body of his old friend. Neart's clothes was drenched in his emerald blood, and River slowly opened his great eye.
Why? Why did you do that?
I tried to save you.
But you were almost killed, you old fool.
If you defeat the beast, it would be honor. If you would guide me to afterlife.
What in the name of bark you're saying? Everything's gonna be alright, lad.
I see you in afterlife, my best friend. The green hand of River caressed the soft fur of Neart. The arm of the amphibian fell down danglingly, lifelessly in the air. The great eye of River slowly closed.
River. River.
In that moment, all of Neart's rage had disappeared, and he was consumed by sorrow and grief. Tears fell like water drops during the rain.
Sure, he isn't the most gifted individuals, but he has always been there for me, even in the darkest of times. Meeting River is always fun and surprising. A life without the river would be an empty one.
Neart?
Hmm?
You are also my best friend.
Sleep well, old friend. Sleep well, old friend.
As the man-fan was grieving, he could hear the pained roars of the monster in the background. Neart carefully put his fallen friend to the ground.
He extracted his claws, turning towards his most hated of enemies, and his amethyst eyes turned to blood red.
Neart was so unimaginably enraged that even the sun god would be frightened.
Neart jumped the monster and managed to overpower the Crimson Beast in his distracted state. The firebomb fell to the ground and the man-fan began to slash like a madman with the monster's metal body.
It didn't matter how hard Neart struck the metal body of the monster. He couldn't break through the armor. The once golden reptilian eye was now red and irritated. The beast opened his infernal jaws.
The Manthan quickly jumped away from the monster and landed in an area
of the stone floor, still intact.
My very own moonlight shone through the destroyed ceiling of the temple, as he was standing now bathing in the light of the moon. He noticed that his body has turned astral and an evil smile lit up. Neart threw the nearest wall and pointed his head out and taunted. The Fireborn aimed his head towards the Guardian's direction and shot another fireball. All of a sudden, the emerging fire suddenly simmered down and turned into a stream of smoke.
You are out of fire.
The Crimson Beast got infuriated by this remark and was almost as he had understood him. The monster dashed towards the wall that the Guardian was hiding behind. The Fireborn began to punch and kick the wall, and he was so enraged that he didn't even realize the Manthan was sneaking out from behind the wall.
Behind you, monster.
The claws went through the armor and the monster screamed out in pain. Parts of its back got frostbitten. It was, after all, said that touching a spirit or astral creature was colder than death itself. The Guardian quickly moved towards the middle of the hall and hides amongst the 10 still standing Manthan statues. The Fireborn was so unimaginably enraged that he began to destroy the Manthan statue. As the creature was turning the statues to dust, Neart sneaked behind the monster and slashed the monster right in its leg.
I am behind you again, you moron.
The Crimson Beast once again roared out of pain and swinged his arms towards the mammal.
Behind Neart stood a great pillar, which he walked through.
And as he did, the monster began to launch strong and powerful punches upon the great pillar. The last punch broke the pillar in two, and the top part fell onto the monster.
The legs of the monster was broken. The beast once again began to whine like a puppy. Neart walked at the base of the pillar and stared down at the fallen giant.
He observed the monster and thought of all the ways he could kill, but he decided that a slash to the throat would be enough.
He was interrupted by the voice of a female Fiskmas, which he knew too well.
Guardian, stop!
Neart turned around and saw Flur flying through an astral portal. The portal was circular and swirling. It did almost look like a window to the afterlife.
It always pained Neart to see a portal, since it reminded him of his mediocrity.
She flew across the hall, turned mid-flight, and she landed in front of the fallen Fireborn, and it looked as if she was protecting the beast.
What in the name of bark you're doing here?
Another guardian helped me find my husband and pointed me to a portal that would send me to him.
What in the burning sun are you saying?
Esme told me everything. Nail is the Fireborn.
So you're saying that Neil is by the gods?
Neart felt almost as his legs had turned to jelly and abruptly sat on the stone floor.
He looked at his clawed paws and realized that he was so close to taking the life of Esme's own father.
As Neart was reflecting,
Flur walked closer to Nail and began to caress his iron-covered head.
Nail, it's me.
Nail closed his eyes and began to almost purr like an ancient house cat. Nail seemed to be relaxed, and some of the old Nail may have still remained.
Neart was alerted by the scream of Flur.
So he planned to freeze Nail. He would not let the Crimson Beast take another life. No cold mist flew out of the Manthon's mouth, and a purple, undefined form, which was as transparent as water, flew into the Manthon's mouth. This undefined shape was leaving the open jaws of Nail.
Neart slurped up the amethyst form from Nail. The massive hand of Nail released Flur, and his entire arm fell to the stone floor, lifeless. The light from his right eye slowly vanished into nothing, and his eye looked like a mist-covered window.
Nail took one heavy last breath, and the father of Esme was now dead.
Neart had devoured his soul.
Fleur gasped for air after she had been released. She noticed her lifeless husband and crawled towards him. She hugged the enormous head of Nail with a tiny body and tried to feel any signs of life. No sign could be found, and she was consumed by sorrow, and her orange eyes was covered in tears.
Nail, wake up.
But why did you leave us, Papa? Don't you like us anymore?
Of course I do. I love all of you more than anything in this world. I really do.
Neart approached her.
Sat himself down next to her and cautiously tried to caress her with a hairy paw. As quickly as his fur had made contact with the feathers, she turned around and hissed at
the Manthon, and Neart got back up on his feet.
I did what had to be done.
You are just a beast and a monster.
I will let you mourn your husband.
The gods will curse you for this, guardian.
He turned his head towards Riva's corpse and ignored many insults of Fleur. His mind was consumed by sorrow that he'd lost his only true friend, and he would be forever alone. He picked up Riva's corpse from the floor, and once again sadness had taken hold of his mind. He stared at Riva's corpse. As he was holding him, Neart's tears began to fall onto the lifeless corpse.
Oh, River.
Neart at first only thought that it was his imagination that played tricks on his mind. As he looked closer, he saw that the great eye of Riva had opened, and it looked like as if Riva's consciousness was slowly guided back to his body by some unknown force.
River, how you're still alive?
We blessed
by great Umir with healing factor, but I still don't feel good. Head hurts very bad.
No worry, old chum. I'll take care of you.
The Guardian held the old amphibian in his hairy arms as they left the great temple.
They could hear the sorrowful cries of Flur that echoed throughout the temple. After one day of wandering, they finally managed to find the organic hut of River during dawn. As they approached the hut, one of the walls opened up. Almost as if the hut had welcomed back her master. Inside the hut, Neart carefully put River down on his bed and took off his cape to use as a blanket for his wounded friend. Neart sat beside him and with some hesitation asked,
River, there is something I need to know.
What is it, little cub?
Well, I never came to ask you of this, but...
Just ask. I'm not easily offended.
Why are you a hermit, River? I need to know this, since you are so close to leave the living world, and the truth would have died with you.
You see, Neart, that I was once part of big tribe.
What was it called, River?
It was called Dalidal tribe. My father, Crazy Bubble, was shaman of this tribe. But when he turned to average age of 400, he died of poisonous water. I was his son, and also his successor. It was there when all bad problems began. I was not able to heal fellow tribesmen from sickness that was too much even for healing factor. I was a bad healer, and I fled from my village out of shame. I took farewell from beloved wife, Jumping Manticore, and my tadpoles that did not yet have names. 2 months I was on my own and tried to survive, but after 2 months I turned terribly homesick and missed my family. When I turned back, entire village was rotting away. Every hut, to tribesmen, to even family, was consumed by green smoke. When smoke disappeared, evil birds flew down and began to loot what remained. The entire family was rotten away. Ancestor of Moor saw me and hunted me down. Out of desperation and hatred, I used blood control on Moor's ancestor and made him kill himself with his own arrow. I looted corpses of important things like wooden goblets and ran to forest. I had abandoned my tribe, lost my family, killed with hate. From that, I would be forever alone and never wanting to meet anyone again. I was once loving a river, but I had become Lonely River.
Neart had never seen River crying this much before.
He held River's tiny green hand and tried to comfort his grieving friend.
You swore that you would be forever alone. But why did you meet me and become my friend?
River stopped crying. A warm smile had formed on his wrinkly mouth, and his tears of sadness were overtaken by tears of joy.
It was because...
As Neart was about to find out the truth of River, he was interrupted by a muffled knock upon the hut.
Someone is knocking on the hut. I'll take care of it.
Neart thought it was strange that someone would ever knock upon the home of his hermit friend.
He raised up from his seated position and approached the wall where the knock was heard.
And River, with a little energy that he had left, opened the wall for Neart. The guardian stepped outside and was blinded by the morning sun.
Please, leave River alone. He's not in the best... You...
Greetings to you, Guardian.
To his shock he saw Prince Gleric standing outside. He was dressed in the same manticore fur and the same ice-sculpted crown. Behind the aged royal stood 6 armored guards.
The guards carried metal ropes and ice hammers.
What are you doing here?
Seize him!
2 of the guards jumped at him.
Get him!
Take your paws off me!
Stay still, damn it! The widowed Flur came to me and told me everything that had happened. You killed a fireball, even though you were forbidden from doing so. You are also to be blamed for the death of Fishmashim's greatest hunters. But worst of all, you devoured the soul out of Mail. Soul devouring is the highest of crimes for a guardian. For such heinous crimes, you shall be sent to the White Wasteland, where you will die and be forgotten. I feel great guilt for the truly terrible things that have occurred. It was of great importance to see this problem being corrected.
So you finally decide to leave your shining castle.
What did you say to me, you brute?
Is this land too unclean and dirty for you, my prince?
How dare you insult your ruler?
Your rule is weak and pathetic, old bear.
Prince glared down at the former guardian. His amethyst eyes expressed both annoyance and anger.
He turned his gaze from Neart and nodded to one of his guards.
Yes, my lord.
The guard approached Neart and struck him with his mighty hammer.
The feeble old bear threw away his cane and raised up from his hunched position.
I am Prince of the Mountains, and what I say to Mountains follows. If you insult me once more, I will have your tongue for it. Guardians, bring this simpleton to the White Wasteland, and you are the guardians who bring me to Mythology.
The prince nodded once again to some of his guards and
they dragged away the unconscious Neart from River's hut. The wall was still open, and River could clearly see that they were taking away his only friend away from him.
Little cub, what is happening?
Neart turned his head towards the screaming River.
the same did the prince, who looked annoyed at what he had thought was a rather worthless creature.
This does not concern you, Oceanborn.
Neart tried to fight
back against his captors and screamed towards river.
I will return, I promise you.
Not even Neart believed in his own words.
For what both of them knew, this could be the last time they would see each other again.
Neart! 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 Neart!
Two of the guards would escort Neart to the nearest teleport that would lead to the White Wasteland. As they were slowly approaching the stationary portal, there was one who blocked the road.
Begone, child. This is a dangerous criminal. I would recommend you to walk up.
Relax, Hamish. Our prisoner is restrained and can't do nothing. Let's see what the girl wants.
Here, Neart.
In the middle of the road stood a very young female fiskmass who was malnourished, dressed in seagrass rags, and was holding a red flower.
Neart
did recognize the young child. It was a young girl he had saved from her very own father.
The guards softened their grasp around Neart, and the former guardian sat on his knees, so he could easily see her face.
Esme approached Neart closer, and she reached out her tiny arm which was holding the red flower. Neart's arms were sadly bound at his back, and he could not grab and accept her gift. He instead had to grab the red flower gently with his mouth. She walked even closer and tried to hug him with her tiny frame.
I am so sorry, Esme, for everything I've done to you and your family. I am nothing more than some evil beast.
No, you saved me. You saved me.
If Neart had not been bound, he would have picked her up from the ground and held her dearly. This wasn't a possibility, so he instead leaned forward and kissed her on the head.
Everything will be fine.
Their moment lasted only for a short while and was then interrupted when the guards became too impatient and they dragged him away from Esme.
Papa, 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 Papa.
After dragging Neart across the ground, they reached the amethyst portal. And the guards cut open his robe. The guards kicked him towards the portal.
Rot in the wasteland.
As Neart's eyes was adjusting to the light, he had noticed he was no longer in the green lands of Fiskmasheim, but in the empty lands of the White Wasteland. The former guardian grabbed the red flower that was given to him, and in only seconds the red flower withered and died in this lifeless land.
Neart was now alone in the frozen land. It was the White Wasteland.
The cold never bothered him, or any frostborn for that matter, but emptiness and bleak nature was unbearable to handle. He would never see his beloved friend until the day he would leave the material plane and enter the afterlife. An hour turned to day and day turned to month.
As the time passed by, Neart could hardly eat or hunt anymore.
Not much mattered to Neart anymore. The man then would spend his days lying in the snow-covered floor half awake. He had no more tears and would just wait to finally die.
Oh, river.
The only thing that could be heard from this frozen island was the howling blizzard and the sorrowful mournings of the fellow inmates.
Elena, I'll never see you again. Rachel, my beloved.
But then one day he suddenly heard a new sound mixed in with the daily ones.
How sad.
It was in some ways drowning out any other sound. The sound he heard felt strange, like as if the voice was altered and changed in some fashion.
Neart could still hear that the voice was that of a female. It had a certain quality. Neart got up on his feet and carefully turned around. Behind Neart stood a dark-cloaked figure.
The dark cloak had covered every inch of her, and where there was supposed to be a face was only shadows, almost like a black void. It was a mystery to what species she was, and her role in this dead land.
Who's there?
Someone who can no longer stand hearing your moping.
Leave me alone.
Are you really sure you want me to do that? I can help you.
At those few words,
Neart felt as
his small sliver of hope was starting to wake in his heart.
With what?
Freeing you from this frozen prison, of course.
Why would you want to help me?
Because you have a set of skills that I find rather helpful. If you help me, then I will help you in return.
What must I do?
It shall be more elaborated if you follow me through the portal.
What portal?
The mysterious woman snapped her gloved finger, and behind appeared an astral portal. This portal was different from anything Neart had ever seen before. The previous portals almost looked like round windows to the afterlife, but this one was shaped and formed from hundreds upon hundreds of sapphire blue souls. All of the souls cried, screamed out of pain, and some even begged for mercy.
This may be your only hope. The decision is yours, Guardian.
The cloaked figure walked away with the same grace and pride as an ancient feline. With only a touch with her left hand at the portal, she had disappeared out of existence. The sapphire portal still remained, and so did the haunting screams of the souls.
Neart stood motionless and reflected for hours.
He was skeptical if he could trust his dark stranger, but he did not know that this might be the only chance to escape his sealed fate and meet River, from whom he had missed more than anything else. He gave out a great sigh before he approached the portal.
I don't know what awaits me on the other side, but what I do know is that I will not fail again. I led a couple to their death, killed a father, and many see me as a monster. But I will succeed this time, or I'd rather die. But I will become no beast or mindless slave to you, Baruch, King of the Sun. And that's for bloody certain. Everything will be fine.
To be continued
in the coming future.
At the coming of the night, we all must look behind and see if we can see what lies inside. At the falling of the light, we hope that we can find the path that we have walked without a guide.
All the points along the way, places where we lied, the causes we have lost and we have won. Was it worth a single day to soothe our foolish pride and do the many things that we have done? and we're lost along the way.
Lost along the way. All the options we have weighed, all the promises betrayed to bring us home. When we look into the sun to find the face of God, we're lucky if we keep from going blind. If we stand or if we run, we can't improve the odds. The path is all we'll ever hope to find. And we're lost along the way.
Lost along the way.
We search each and every day for the premise, for the play to bring us home.
When the answers finally rise, like riddles in the mist, we struggle to believe we're not alone. All the sophistry and lies eternally persist. However will we find our way back home?
And we're lost along the way.
We are lost along the way.
Lost along the way.
Lost along the way.
Lost along the way.